Hello everyone and welcome back to the 726 show. I'm Ian Reynolds filling in for Dan and Ann. And today we have with us a couple of pastors here locally in the area. We've got Pastor Robin St. Clair and Pastor Johnny Lee Clary. And they've got a really interesting story. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Gentlemen, thanks for being here today. Now, Pastor Johnny, tell me about your background and where you're from.
I travel around the world as a traveling full-time evangelist speaking out against racism because I'm very unique. I have firsthand experience of what racism is all about. I formerly, in my former life before I became a Christian, I was not only in the Ku Klux Klan, but I was the Imperial Wizard of the White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. And so I was quite well known. I appeared on Oprah Winfrey, Morton Downey Jr., several other talk shows around the country promoting racism and hate. But 24 years ago, I left the Ku Klux Klan. I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, and I learned that good friends come in all colors. And today, I speak out against the message of the Ku Klux Klan. I also work with the FBI and with the United States military. As a diversity consultant, and I lecture with the FBI training headquarters to help help law officers from around the world understand the mindset of why people join these hate groups, and I help people organize against this message of hate.
I mean, that's a huge background to come from. I mean, an outstanding background to come from, and to go from where you were to where you are today, and our viewers know how racism in northern Arkansas has been a huge cultural battle for us in this area. Pastor Robin, you're a local pastor here in the area. Tell us about your involvement in this.
Well, we came to Harrison, Arkansas, the church Batavia Assembly of God. It's about 4 miles outside of Harrison on 392. We've been here for a little over 2 years. And ever since I got here, Ian, I've been praying that God would give me His mind concerning the area. I'm fully aware that in every area there's always a particular darkness, for the most part, that has a stronghold, whether it's racism or maybe, drugs is very high level or teen pregnancy or whatever it may be. Well, about 2 months ago, maybe a little over that, 2 or 3 months ago, I was in prayer, and the Lord laid Brother Johnny Lee Clary on my heart. And I grew up in Arkansas, grew up in Russellville, which is just over the mountain, about 2 hours. And I've always been very familiar with the northern Arkansas, especially Harrison. Your viewers would know that if you Google Harrison, Arkansas, you're going to pull up the KKK, and it's going to be very promoted on the internet. So I understood that this is a need that Harrison needs to address. And I was in prayer, and I've been around the people of Harrison for some time, and I know that the people of Harrison are not racist, but they have sort of been, this name has been given them. So I was in prayer, and Brother Clary's name was laid upon my heart. Good friend of mine down in Beaumont, Texas, they said they knew him personally, highly recommended him, so I called Brother Clary, and let me tell you, Ian, it has been phenomenal how the city of Harrison, the local newspaper, the mayor's office even has got behind this event we had this past weekend, and we have seen people from all around the Harrison area and even out of state that have come to be a part of really standing against racism and understanding that it is the love of God that loves every color, every person, and through the love of God, I have found that we can overcome every obstacle.
Well, tell us a little bit about the event that you had this last weekend.
Well, we had Brother Clary come in, and we put on our sign the former Grand Wizard of the KKK. And Ian, we've had numerous people leading up to that point stop and take pictures of that sign, and before we knew it, it was really around the world. People were commenting on that sign, and people were understanding what was going on at Batavia Assembly of God. We've had great response. We had last week a lady here in town. I believe she's over the Committee of Diversity here in Harrison that was just formed, gave me a call and thanked us for really taking a stand. A lot of people that are believers, that love God, a lot of times we don't know exactly how to take a stand, and this gave people an avenue to say, hey, this is something that must be addressed. If God's going to have His way today in this area. We've got to stand for truth. We have to stand for the Bible. So I had Brother Clary come. We had 4 services, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, and Sunday night, and just had great attendance every single night. Pastor Clary brought forth just great messages, shared his testimony, and then I'm sure as we'll go forward here, last night we had 7 members of the Ku Klux Klan attend the service, was exposed to the love of God, and stayed even after to speak to us on different levels and things. But we know that God has launched something out of Batavia Assembly of God that I personally believe is going to change this area for the glory of God.
Well, Brother Clary, tell me about what you experienced this weekend with the residents here.
Well, what I found was that I feel like the majority of the people in Harrison, they deplore the message of hate, and they do not want that over their town. And I was very impressed with the local newspaper. They ran 3 articles on Thursday about my visit, everything so positive. And then on Friday, when I get here, I look at the paper, and right there on the front page, the city's spending $30,000 on doing a new publicity image for Harrison because of the darkness that's been put over Harrison by just a handful of a little small group known as the KKK. And so what I feel is that the people of Harrison have a chance now to turn this whole thing around. And, unfortunately, they wherever I travel, wherever my travels take me, all over the United States, as soon as, they say, have you heard of Harrison, Arkansas? Or if Harrison's mentioned, ooh, Ku Klux Klan, And that is sad, because I think now I can go out into the world and I can tell people, excuse me, Harrison is not the bastion for the Ku Klux Klan, because the majority of the people don't even want him there, okay? The majority of the people deplore that message of hate. But the problem is that I see too many people afraid to speak out, and they don't want to speak out about it for various reasons, one reason or the other. But people should always take a stand against hate, I'm reminded of Edmund Burke. And Edmund Burke made the statement one time, evil prevails when good people do nothing. Absolutely. And so people have to make a stand, and they have to stand out. And I was very pleased with the people. We had Friday night and Saturday night, we had over 200 people at the meeting. And then we had a good crowd on Sunday morning and Sunday night. And I really believe that the people there were stirred. And I think that they realized that it's time to take a stand against hate, but to do it with the love of Jesus Christ. I believe that the message of Christ is what's going to change people. I don't believe in violence. I don't want people to to think, oh, you got to get out there and advocate violence or hate in any way, shape, or form, because then you put yourself on the same level. And so people should speak out, but they should do it intelligently, and they should be moved by their heart to speak out. And remember that if you want to play good music, you got to learn to mix those black and white keys together on the piano.
This is true. Well, tell me, as a former member of the KKK, Grand Wizard, as I understand, tell me about what you experienced during that time. Tell me about the history.
Well, yeah, I have a long history in the Klan. I actually joined when I was 14 years old. I was a kid that came from a broken home, a father who committed suicide, and a mother that didn't want me. And she sent me away to California to go live with my sister, who was with a drug dealer, and I was, there's a lot of violence in the home. Either he was beating her up or beating me up and things like that. And I got bullied in the schools. I was right in the middle of gang territory in East Los Angeles, California, right next to South Central. And I'm telling you, it was a horrible life, and I was thinking about ending my life at 14 years old because I didn't have a friend in the world, and I saw David Duke on television, and he was the leader of the Ku Klux Klan at the time, and he was giving a message about the KKK, and that caught my attention because my father's brother, my uncle in Georgia, was he was a Klan leader in Macon, Georgia, and so I knew about the Ku Klux Klan, and it caught my attention. I listened to what he had to say, and I wrote him a letter, told him the things that I'd went through, and he responded by sending me all kinds of literature. And it put fear into me because as I read this literature, I started thinking about race wars and blacks rising up and hurting white people and things like that. And when a kid my age at 14 years old should have been dreaming about football or baseball or pro wrestling or something like that, I was dreaming about race wars and having a lot of fear in me. Then what happened is that I get a knock on the door one day, and it was a Klansman came to visit me. David Duke had forwarded the information to him, and he came and he said, "Son, you've had a horrible life. No kid should have to go through what you've gone through." He said, "What you need is a family." And he said, "The Ku Klux Klan stands for Circle of Family, coming from the Greek word kuklus, which means circle, and clan from Scotland, meaning family." He said, "Come join the Klan and we'll be a family to you." And at that point in time, any cult could have reached out to me, and I'd have went with them because I was the kid that nobody wanted. And I made that wrong decision to join the Klan. And this is why I say today is that we need to reach out to the youth, because the youth of today will decide what kind of world we live in tomorrow. Absolutely. So we need to reach out to the youth and encourage the youth as Christians. Otherwise, groups like the Ku Klux Klan, because they're going after the youth. You can look at the Klan leader's stuff right here and look at his stuff on YouTube and stuff. And he's got his little grandkids, 9, 10 years old, on there talking about white power, and things like that. That's terrible. But the thing is that I got involved in it. I was groomed to be a straw man, a spokesman for the KKK. Spokesmen generally don't get their hands dirty and things like that. And so I got involved in it, and I ended up going across the country and appearing on talk shows and organizing rallies and demonstrations. I found out I was hated. We was attacked by, anti-racist who they were no better than the KKK, because they would come out with baseball bats and they would throw sulfuric acid at the kids and, at people in the Klan and stuff like that. So they were no different, okay? And the whole world was full of hate. And when there wasn't any blacks or Jews around for the Klan to hate, they was fighting with skinheads and Nazis, and all of them were fighting with each other and couldn't get along. And I looked at my life and I thought there had to be more to life out of this, and there was a lot more to my story. But basically, I finally made the decision at 30 years old that I needed to change my life and I needed to get out of it. I didn't know how I was going to change my life. I just knew I didn't want part of the Klan anymore, and they had voted me in as their national Imperial Wizard. Now the Klan had, the way they counteract that is they say he was only the Imperial Wizard for 6 months, and I say, that's true, and praise God. I said that I didn't spend any more time than 6 months as their leader, because God had a different plan for my life. I got out of the KKK. I went through, a failed relationship. I was in a really bad situation. I was thinking about ending my life once again because I didn't have any friends or anything. And then all of a sudden, I grabbed a Bible and I started reading the Bible. And I read about the prodigal son, and I read about the love of Jesus Christ. And I decided I wanted to know the Jesus that loved people and not the Jesus that burned crosses and hated people, like the Klan portrays. So I asked Christ to come into my life, and the minute that I did, everything began to change. New friends, new life, the whole bit, and I was going to change my name and forget that I was ever in the Klan. But I turned on a talk show one day about a year after I became a Christian, saw young people being recruited by the KKK, and I said, somebody's got to tell these kids the truth so that they don't do the same mistakes that I did. So I made the decision to go public, and I never regretted that decision. I've been all over the world preaching to thousands upon thousands of people for all these years now, and out of the Klan for 24 years. And I will say this, the other thing is that today here I sit with one of the most visible pastors the world has ever known, Pastor Jimmy Swaggart, and we are in a church that our church is huge down there in Baton Rouge, and we've got every race, creed, and color in our church. And I always tell people, I say, turn on the TV and look at our church and see all the colors of people out there, and guess what? That's what heaven's going to look like. Absolutely. So I've been excited about coming to Harrison. I told Pastor Robin I had been praying for 10 years that I would be able to come to Harrison someday and give a message of racial reconciliation. And God spoke to Pastor Robin. We did this, and it went over well. And I am praying now that this is not my only trip to Harrison. I pray that I will be back to help this city any way I can, if I can help the schools, if I can help the mayor, if I can help the city council, whoever. But whatever it takes, I'm praying that I can come back to this city someday and help in this city, help change that reputation. Absolutely. And help bring people together in unity.
Well, guys, I appreciate you being here and expressing your message. We just got a little bit of time left here. Is there anything you'd like our viewers to know before we leave?
Yeah, contact me if you got any questions at preachthecross.net. That's my website, preachthecross.net or xkkk.org. It's the same website, but I've got
Okay.
two different names for it. And I want to tell you, I believe good things for Harrison. I really
Awesome.
do.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for being here. Again, appreciate you coming into the studio on a Tuesday here, or Monday, and I think we've got a good show for everybody to watch. All right, guys, well, we'll kick it off to a break, and we'll be back with Dan and Ann right after this.